Hello, this is Chris from D6 Machina, and I am with
Dave from Rampant Wolf Games.
And we are here to talk about top 5 cooperative sci-fi games.
Yep.
Now, I could be kind of a jerk and say these are games which are science fiction in theme and cooperative, which is just a rearrangement of the same words.
Yeah.
And so the restrictions that they had to be science fiction, not fantasy, and I tried to say, you know what, is it going to be fantasy sci-fi? And I was like, no, science fiction. So it's not going to be like, I'm not sure if there is a game that's fantasy with some techno in it. I was pushing for more pure sci-fi.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I also have no semi-co-op.
Yes, that was going to... Yes.
This was pure cooperative.
Yes.
Okay, so no issues with that at all?
Nope.
You don't have any surprises?
Nope.
You always do.
No. I have a good surprise in one of them, but it's one of the other lists.
All right, okay. So here you go, number 5. Picks rock every time.
Yep.
So my number 5 is a game that is not seen a lot, and not a lot of people talk about it. And
go ahead, sir.
Not a lot of people talk about it anymore. It's called Apocalypse Chaos. It is a very inexpensive game. It's done by the same people who do... Actually, it's not done by Leacock, but it's the name of the same company that did Pandemic. It's another cooperative game. It is nothing like that game. It is weird. I would say weird and strange because it's a die placement game. Right?
Yep.
It has an issue with scaling. Do not play this game with 2 characters. Play with 4. So no matter how many players are playing, play with all the characters. Because the game becomes a lot easier, despite the fact there are more monsters on the board, if you have more dice to place. That's basically it. But it's a weird game because if you played that game in real time, it would be 3 minutes. Because the game basically has a play function. You plan out your whole strategy based on your die placement, where your initiative is, and when the monsters will act and what they will do. The whole secret of that game is knowing what all the monsters are doing, being where they're not going to be, and not where they're going to shoot where they're going to be. So the whole point of the game is to know where they're going to... So if you just go, well, let's just play it by ear and play it by instinct, you're dead. Because the monsters will kill you. You actually have to spend an hour of the game. Of the hour of the game, I'd say 40 minutes of that game is you staring at the board and analyzing the puzzle. It is a puzzle game. But it's a pure sci-fi. So there's guns, aliens, shooting, your ship is crashed. The only issue with the game is entirely a problem with my fiance. She refuses to do the campaign mode because the basic game is not difficult if you know how to do certain things, right? Like there's this one guy who can erect a really powerful shield. If he's on the platform that allows him to make better shields, then whoever's with him is virtually indestructible.
Yeah.
And if you have him under a platform, that platform is also indestructible, so the 2 people above that are also relatively safe. So that position becomes so safe, you never need to leave. Which can be a problem because you play it really safe. And that's a bit of an issue. I think the game is more difficult than we lead on. We don't let it get more difficult because we're not willing to break from that strategy. And I know that's a fool's errand because the campaign mode breaks that format very quickly, so you cannot rely on that strategy.
Is there any expansions for it? Or
there's never been an expansion. They've never done anything since. It was a one-shot done by one guy, and they have never returned to it. It's very light in theme because it's called Apocalypse Chaos. You see the ship has crashed. Characters don't have names. It's got a pretty good art style, but they made no attempt at a story. They do say there's a campaign mode where you organize the tiles in specific ways, and there's a whole mission structure. But that's it. It's just the last 3 pages of the manual.
Yeah.
But that being said, you can get this game for like under $40. So that's my number 5 pick, Apocalypse Chaos.
All right. So my number 5 pick, actually, I think you may take issue with it a little bit, is Dark Moon.
That's semi-co-op.
I know, but it's really it is co-op. It's kind of like that
until one guy is not.
Until one guy is not.
It's the good version of Who Goes There. Which is exactly me. I was being verbatim. You've literally said those exact words.
Yes. So yeah, no, I realized that after I looked at it, I was just kind of like, oh well.
Oh right, I forgot. I'm lying.
Yep.
So go ahead, tell me. So anyway, yeah, Dark Moon.
Dark Moon. Also, it's the Battlestar Galactica Express. Was
Yes.
the name was known as by. So
Yeah.
So and I have a lot of fun with it. And again, does die placement again as well. So for me, it came in at number 5 only because I was having trouble finding a fifth one for co-op. But I'm sure that was just because maybe I didn't look hard enough. But anyways, or maybe I don't have it in my collection. Because of course, again, as usual, it's limited to my collection.
Yeah, of course.
Or games that I've played. So that was not my number 5.
My number 4 is Star Trek Panic.
Yes.
Took you a second.
No, I was making sure.
I mean, it is science fiction. It's Star Trek.
Yep.
You can't get more sci-fi than Star Trek.
No, I was trying to figure out
Right?
if it was completely co-op, but yes.
And it is completely co-op.
Yep.
It is, it is a glorified reskinning of a fantasy game, but it is a glorious reskinning of a fantasy game.
Yep.
Like I did that.
I agree.
It is what they've added to the IP, that added to the base game, makes it a better game. And we were just saying in a previous list how much we would love that to get expansions, despite the fact that the fantasy game has too many. They should have stopped with one and supported the other. But that's my number 4, Star Trek Panic. It's a good game. I would actually go so far as to say in some ways it is better than Castle Panic. But that's my number 4 for cooperative Star Trek Panic.
All right, my number 4 for cooperative sci-fi is Rising 5. Now, I know it's a stretch for the theme, but
No, I'll give it to you. No,
Yeah.
Rising 5 sci-fi. It's on an alien planet of aliens.
Yeah.
There is some...
it's basically Mastermind sci-fi.
Yeah, it's mastermind sci-fi, but the theme itself, I would...
Yeah.
The theme itself is sci-fi.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it got some elements of fantasy, but I think at the end of the day, if... if John Carter is sci-fi, and it's sci-fi, because we don't need to have pure hardcore science. I mean,
No.
it's sci-fi.
Fair enough.
So go on.
No, I was just gonna say I like it. I like the inclusion of the app because I mean, really, who wants to sit there and set up the game for you and then not play it?
Oh yeah, then to be that 5th player. The app is everyone, which is really weird too, because everyone says how good the app's auto recognition system is. And the auto recognition system has never worked for me. So we just do it, man. We use the app. We use the app, but we never, because there's been 2 or 3 occasions, and that just buggers up the whole game.
Yeah.
If it auto detects the wrong symbols. So it doesn't take more than 5 seconds to simply select on the app which symbols you're guessing, and then it tells you right or wrong.
Yeah.
If you have a good group of smart people, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. So that was my number 5. 4. Rising 5.
It's my Rising 5 is my number 4 pick.
Yep.
My number 3 pick is Time Stories. Now, there has been conversation recently on another video
Whether or not it's actually
whether or
sci-fi.
not it's actually sci-fi. If anything, it is a framework on which to place different types of stories. You could say that even the first game, there's no science element. In fact, it's paranormal. And then they do something else, which is, once again, it seems like every game, you're like, are they going through time or are they going through parallel realities? Because it doesn't seem like the world in which they are in shouldn't exist if the events that happened in the past occurred even slightly the way it is. They're worried about, we're worried about these temporal injunctions. I go, yeah, I think there are other problems you need to deal with. Like even the first one, not really a big spoiler, but the first one has paranormal elements. And you're like, you think that should be, we're worried about the temporal rift, and you're like, I think there are other problems we should be dealing with right now.
Kidding.
But at the end of the day, Time Stories TIME is the organization. The game board feels very sci-fi.
Yeah.
The whole process is sci-fi. So at the end of the day, I do consider it a science fiction story, despite the fact that the actual episodes may not be.
Fair enough.
So that's my number 3 pick. TIME Stories.
All right, my number 3 pick is Gen 7.
Oh, which is a brand new one.
Yeah, and we've actually started playing that one. It is really good.
It's been getting some people have been mixed.
You either like it or you don't. There's no middle ground.
Well, for me, I'm more interested. I'm actually heavily interested because I like the Dead of Winter mechanic. I'm not a fan of the Dead of Winter theme.
Yeah.
And I heard that this is a bit more... Is it more cooperative or less cooperative?
Yeah, no, it's completely cooperative unless you use the expansion. Because basically expansion gets you up to 5 players, or after you've completely completed the game. You can play it with 6 people, where there's an opportunity for someone to become a trader.
Ooh.
So yeah, and I kind of like the whole. It feels very choose your own adventure-esque. Adventure-esque, because at one point you're presented with an option, and the premise of the game, it's your generational starship, and
the premise I love.
It's now your shift, and during your shift, I'm not going to spoil much, but basically the previous shift left you a message, and you've got to either do something about it or not do something about it. And it came down to, it's just like, so, and while you're discussing what you're going to do about that, there's stuff going wrong in the ship that needs to be maintenance done, and stuff needs to be fixed, and life support stuff. So I mean, you're juggling it so much at once. It just, I don't know why people are giving it such a hard time, because honestly, for me, it's almost what First Martians should have been.
Ooh.
And when I played First Martians,
my only issue with the game is that it's really expensive. Like,
that's the other
wow.
thing. Yeah, that's
because you can get a copy of Dead of Winter for like $50.
Yeah,
this game is double that on a discount site. It's $100.
Yeah, and
I was all ready to get behind this, and I was like, huh, what?
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Why is this? Why is it like? Does it have gold in it? Like,
no, I don't really know.
Does it have a lot of miniatures?
No, there's no miniatures. Is
it $100?
It's all cards, dice, and boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
literally on the one website that sells Gloomhaven for $130, it's $107. Like, is it 30? Is it literally? Because I've seen the box.
Yeah.
You could fit it in Gloomhaven and put 2 other boxes in it.
Yeah. I don't know if it justifies the price.
Yeah. That has to go way down before I.
Yeah. Having said that, I still, like, we played it the first time, and when it was done, we were just like, wow, I want to play the next chapter, but I don't have that much time today.
Is it a long game?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's you're looking at 2 to 3 hours for one chapter.
Does it get tedious?
Not really.
Have you lost the game? Do you lose the game?
No.
That's one thing I find annoying is a 3-hour game that you ultimately lose.
I don't think. You don't know really yet, because you've made this decision, right? Because I mean, you chose a path, so that then.
So is it a campaign mode?
Yes.
Oh, I like this even more.
Yeah, it's campaign, and it's got legacy-ish aspects in the sense where you open up certain things as you go, and you gain access to new cards, which then
get more interested in this game.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and just for me, it's got a lot of the hardcore science too as well. So
I love the premise, love the theme.
Yeah,
I love what it tries to pitch. It's just one of those things where it's just like, how poor do I want to be?
Yes, and that was it for. I bit the bullet, and I was glad I did it. But of course, now comes down to the point where it's like, okay, now we've got that game started with those 4 people. We better make sure that those 4 people are always available so we can play that at some point.
Yeah, I was thinking about Gloomhaven because it's hard to get the same group of people.
Exactly.
So that's your number.
That was my number 3, Gen 7.
I like that. Good pick. My number 2. And I'll be surprised if this is not in your list. Star Trek 5-Year Mission. Star Trek 5-Year Mission is one of the... It's incredibly critically derided. It is not popular, except with everybody I talk to. I don't know why, but online this game doesn't get a lot of love.
Yep.
With certain critical sites, doesn't get a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
As you were mentioning, Tom does not like it.
Yep.
And yet, it is one of the most common games, a group of people. It has got this perfect cusp of being gateway and popular with people who have moved past gateway.
Yep.
It's gateway without feeling like, oh god, I gotta break out the gateway game.
Yeah.
It's like, let's play this. It's like, it's what you play, like, everyone, hey, let's play Roll for It. Okay, I'm gonna get you into playing gateway game. I'm gonna get you to play something with a bit more weight to it. I'm gonna pull you away from Roll for It, and we're gonna play Star Trek 5-Year Mission.
Yeah.
And then they'll get that and go, oh, like, okay, and now we're gonna do something better.
Yeah.
But Star Trek 5-Year Mission is a great entry level game, and once again, talking about price, you can get it for like $35. It's not a lot of game, but it is Star Trek. Theme, slapped on. Not going to lie.
Yep.
But it's a good game.
Yep.
That's my number 2 pick. Star Trek, 5-year mission.
All right. My number 2 pick is The Captain is Dead.
Oh. That's a good choice.
It is...
And it's fully cooperative, yeah?
It is fully cooperative. I have yet to win it, but by the same token, every time we've lost, everybody's like, can we play again?
Yeah.
And that's because we were close to winning, usually.
Yeah.
Or we were just like, well, yeah, but I mean, if we had just done this, we would have lasted another couple more rounds or something like this. I'm very interested to try the... Because originally it was done as a Kickstarter, and it was The Captain is Dead. Then it's locked down, so you've now been captured and you're in prison, and then there was supposed to be... Oh, nope, sorry. Second one was supposed to be you're adrift, and then the next one was that you're in prison. So they then sold it off to AEG. AEG is now releasing them as standalones, unfortunately.
We've been through this.
Yeah, so I have both standalones. I'm interested to see what the lockdown is like, but
yeah.
It for me, and also the one thing I love about this game is it hits that magical mythical number that I have sometimes with game groups, 7 players.
Oh.
Because for some reason, sometimes every now and then I'll get that 7th person will walk in the door and you're just like, 7?
What do I have that 7? And you're
Mysterium and The Captain is Dead. That's it.
Yeah, runs the list. There's
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you got to go into your higher play count games, which is like 8 to 10.
Party games and stuff.
Party games.
Some people want something with a bit more weight.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's my number 2. The Captain is Dead.
Now, number 1.
All right.
See, I got you there. Oh, smashing the scissors.
All right.
My number 1 is Rising 5. Ruins of Asteros.
Yes.
That's why I was defending you. I think it's a good choice you picked because I have it on mine as well. Yes, it is. It is aliens, an alien world. There is some elements, I would say, not really magic, but there's this vault and there's monsters within this vault. You're trying to seal this vault with this, but it is very science fiction. I would not call it fantasy. It's as much a sci-fi as I said, John Carter.
Yeah.
It is mastermind kind of thing, but it has this great mechanic where once again, there's one die roll. Like this thing that had to be like one die roll in the game to see if you beat monsters or not. But there's a lot of ways to mitigate that. You can add modifiers to the rolls and then win. There have been times we've won this game in 35 minutes tops.
Yep.
And there are times where we have played for 45 and got right to the end. But it is not. It is a quick game. It is a fun game. It's a game which a lot of people who. If people go, oh, I'm not a big board game person, and then you get them in this puzzle, and they're like, oh, I got to figure out this puzzle. I got to figure this out. And when you have a group of people, it's weird that you're not playing individual characters. But after you play the game, you can see why.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a game like this War of Mine where it's like you're not playing individual characters, and on top of that, it's a glorified solitaire game where you're simply passing off who the solitaire game is for every single turn. In this game, there are distinctive player functions, even though you're not playing as characters.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why there are different characters in the game. So that's my number 1 pick, Rising 5, Ruins of Asteros.
All right. My number 1 pick, Galaxy Defenders. How did you not figure that?
Well, considering the fact that you haven't brought it on your list yet, I'm surprising that...
Yeah. So yes, Galaxy Defenders. It's that the game that you wanted XCOM to be. It's up to 5 players, cooperative. It's got a deep, engaging story. I find.
I was one of the situations that this is. Are you dealing with Galaxy Defenders the franchise?
Yes.
Because yeah, exactly. I haven't played the first one. And the first one would probably be number 6.
Yeah.
But since I haven't played the second or the third one, I can't really put them on my list. So I can't really rate the franchise.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, it just, for me, it does all the... I like how the enemy works, how actually as you do, enemies come out, You actually assign them to other people at the table, so they're running that alien. So people are always involved. It's not just, oh, I'm doing my actions and someone else is like knitting while they're waiting for you to do your actions. It's like, oh, that's my alien. I've got to attack or defend. And so and the one thing that I find really interesting about that game, it's nothing special, I'm sure, but you can have so many enemies on the board, but if you don't pull that card that activates all of them, you don't necessarily have to deal with all of them at the same time. So you can be just like, okay, this is going to be, okay, now, no, we're dead.
Yeah.
So, and that is random because how they activate is randomized every time you play the game. You shuffle the deck, you cut it into 3, and then you do it that way. And also they've got events that come out, which I find interesting too, because as it gets harder, events will trigger where all of a sudden now, the commander of the alien forces shows up. And you're just,
yeah,
we should have killed these guys quicker. So, I find it to be a rewarding experience.
I can definitely see that. But part of me was just like, I wouldn't put it on my list until I played the sequel, and then I would probably put the sequel on the list, and then maybe as a default put the franchise on the list.
Fair enough.
So no, you didn't put Space Movers on.
No. That one,
I know. So it's a mixed bag. Some people like that.
Yeah, and you know what? The wife hates it.
Isn't Imperial Salt cooperative or competitive?
It's one versus all.
Oh, okay.
Or co-op. So I wanted purely co-op, even though I'd put
even though you put
Dark Moon on there.
Exactly. Had to be a rogue somewhere.
Yeah.
So my number 5, Apocalypse Chaos. Number 4, Star Trek Panic. Number 3, Time Stories. Number 2, Star Trek 5 Your Mission. And number 1, Rising 5, Ruins of Asteros.
All right. My number 5, Dark Moon. Number 4, Rising 5. Number 3, Gen 7. Number 2, Captain is Dead. And number 1, Galaxy Defenders.
All right.
And I've been Dave from Rample of Games.
And I am Chris from Deus Ex Machina.
And remember, the rules are just a suggestion. Play the game how you want to play it.
Including the cooperative game.
Yes.